Okay, we'll move on to our budget report for this evening. Tonight we have our instructional budgets. We have our educational services, technology, and athletics presenting their budgets for this evening. First up to the podium for educational services is Dr. Bala.
Good evening, and thank you for having us here. So again, can you hear me?
Hard to hear you.
Sorry, is this
We're
good?
kind of far away.
You know what? I'll go get the door. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Should I wait until he
Just 1
closes the
minute.
door?
Yeah, we'll
okay.
just have him shut the doors and then
Sure.
they'll finish their photos and. We'll just do it without, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so good evening again, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to present our 22-23 school year proposed budget. IEPs are really our primary driving force behind our budget. It's really the legally mandated services to which we commit to meet the individualized education needs of our students. As I've said here almost every time I've been up here, we strive to educate majority of our students classified by the Committee on Special Education within district. And I believe at present that number is somewhere around 96% of students classified by the committee are educated in-house. And they get the opportunity to grow up in their home community and learn to navigate their community, attend their home public school district. And through our presentation this evening, we hope to highlight our proposal for continuation of programming and any significant changes to our budget. Do all of you have the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I
Yes.
noticed it's behind
Yes.
you. Okay, so on the first slide, we have some of the components that go into running our programs. And if I may direct your attention to the column on the right, it basically speaks to an overall increase that we're anticipating of $130,000 approximately. And there are three main factors that are contributing to this overall increase. One being contractual services, where we are anticipating an increase of around $55,000. And to meet the needs of our students, we contract with a number of professionals, including for physical therapy services. We contract with a psychiatrist. We contract with Cognitive Behavioral Consultants of Westchester for DBT services. We contract with an optometrist for vision services. We contract for audiological services. And the increase that you're seeing in this line is really reflective of the increase in needs in these areas. The second area where there's a major increase somewhat is in tuition for $17,400. And like I said, we strive to educate majority of our students classified by the committee in district. And there are students who need a higher level of care than we can provide. For those students, we recommend either full-time BOCES programs or out-of-district day and residential programs. And then for them, we pay tuition to attend those out-of-district programs. The cost here, the increase here really is just reflective of the anticipated increase in costs, really normal inflation. It's not more students that we're sending out of district, but just the increase in cost of programming that we anticipate for the upcoming school year. And then the third area is the BOCES services for a change of $51,000. And this is for students that are classified by the committee and who attend part-time vocational training programs at BOCES. So these are overall the three really main factors that are contributing to the increase that we are proposing for next year. Sorry. So in a few slides, I will go over the continuum of services that we offer within district, but I hope that I hope through that slide I'll be able to highlight just the wide range of programming that we offer in-house despite being such a small school district. And as such, when we have seats available, especially in our special programs, after meeting all of the needs of our students in district, we offer those seats to students in neighboring districts who could benefit from the programming that we have. And as such, then we are able to get tuition for those students. And again, if you look at the column all the way on the right, we're not anticipating any change here, just a little bit of a redistribution of where we anticipate being able to get tuition from, and just programs where we will not be able to offer seats to students from out-of-district programs just because our own students need those seats. So again, for the lab school, which is our transition program, I feel this is a lot better. Is this better when you hear me? Yeah. Okay, I just heard myself. Sorry. You hear the difference? Okay. So the lab school, we anticipate being able to offer two tuition seats, and again, at the elementary and middle school ISP programs, also anticipate being able to take 2 tuition packets. But at the ISP high school and TSP, our therapeutic support program at the high school, we don't anticipate being able to offer any tuition seats for next year. This slide speaks to our staffing and really just all the amazing people that are part of our department that really keep our programs and departments running. Overall, we have 38 teachers across the district. It's the same that we're asking, for next year is the same as this year. We have the most teachers, as you can see, at the high school, fewer at the middle school, and then fewer at BRS. And this is really reflective of just the programming that we offer. We have the most number of programs at the high school. We also have the most number of classified students at the high school. For teaching assistants, we have a total of 21 teaching assistants across the district, and the distribution is very much reflective of teachers, the most number at the high school, fewer at the middle school, and then even fewer at a BRS. For teacher aides, we're projecting a total of 67 aides for next school year. And this has been a number that's kind of been trending downwards over the years, and it's kind of where we want, it's the trend we want to see in terms of fostering independence. I think this year we were budgeted for 72. Next year we're projecting for 67. For related service providers, it's a total of 16.1 full-time equivalents. At BRS, we have 6.5, which is basically we have 3 school psychologists, 2 speech and language pathologists, a full-time occupational therapist, and a part-time occupational therapist that we split with the high school. At the middle school, we have 2 school psychologists, 1.6 speech and language pathologists, so full-time speech and language pathologist and a part-time, and a full-time occupational therapist who also does assistive technology. At the high school, we have 3 school psychologists, 1 speech and language pathologist, and that part-time OT I spoke about. And we also have a part-time psychologist dedicated to servicing our students that we place in out-of-district programs. That's the 0.5 related service provider in the special ed office that you see. We also have 2 administrators in the special ed office and 2 administrative assistants. As for projected numbers for next year, we're fairly stable at the elementary school. We have 82 students classified this year, and we project to be at the same number for next year. At the middle school, the number is going down a little bit. I think we were at 107 students this year, going down to 94 that we're projecting for next year. We are exiting a large 8th grade, going up to the high school, and a few students who also got declassified. At the high school, despite, so they're taking on the huge 8th grade. They're also exiting students. Some students are getting declassified, with numbers fairly stable at 145, around that. For students that we are able to service from neighboring districts, we have 42 students. And for our 504 plans, we have about 117 students Most of them are at the high school, and then fewer at the middle school, and then even fewer at BRS. And for English language learners, that number is, it's a little difficult to predict with 100% accuracy here. Less predictable, I would say. But the distribution overall is that we have the most number of English language learners at BRS, fewer at the middle school, and then even fewer at the high school. And the trend that we're seeing is, students, as they acquire the English language, then need fewer services. And yeah. And then finally, our continuum of services that we offer within district, we have a variety of related services we offer, including psychological counseling, individual and group, speech and language services, again, individual and group services, occupational therapy, physical therapy, audiological and vision services, orientation and mobility services. We also have consultant teacher services, which really is it's basically a special education teacher consulting with a general education teacher on behalf of a classified student to help the general education teacher support the classified student in the general education environment. We also offer resource room services. This is throughout the district. It's a small group pull-out service, no more than 5 students, and it's always a certified special education teacher who works on skill remediation with our students and towards IEP goals. We have integrated co-teaching, integrated co-taught classes at the high school level. This is where we have a general education teacher, as well as at the high school level we have dual certified special education and content area teachers, where they partner, so the gen ed teacher and the special education teacher partner to team teach students in these classes. There are some students who have IEPs, some students who do not. We offer co-taught classes at the high school across content areas. We have modified classes across the district. These are our self-contained 15-1 classes. These classes are taught by certified special education teachers, and all students in these classes have IEPs. And then we have our special programs, our individual support program, which is a K through 21 program. It services students with neurodevelopmental disabilities, and our therapeutic support program, which starts at the middle school level, goes up to the high school level, and this is for students with emotional disabilities. Built into this program is, it's our psychiatric consultation, psychological consultation. It's all inbuilt to the program. We run it based on DBT principles. And then we have 2 transition programs for students ages 18 to 21. One is our FAST program that is on campus and out in the community. We focus, and then we have our lab school program at the Westchester Community College. Both transition programs focus heavily on acquisition of functional academics, social skills, pre-vocational skills, and daily living skills. This is what we have in district, and then if students, like I said, need a higher level of care than we can provide, we have our BOCES programs, out-of-district day programs, and residential programs. That's pretty much it, and I will hand it over to Dr. Faggio.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm excited to present the technology budget. So what I'll be covering is really how this budget is helping us expand the instructional technology support services as we continue to strengthen, update, and expand our technology infrastructure. All right. So here with the budget itself, you'll see that, well, for the technology department, we're sort of no longer just sort of a tech shop. We keep expanding and adding more tools and resources, and that's sort of the biggest realization as we enter into the 22-23 school year. And what you can see here from the proposed budget is the contractual services is really sort of the biggest part of this proposed budget. And in that, it's really designed to support our vision for a secure, robust, tech-infused educational program. And that's really inclusive of different services at the building level as well as the district level, and as well as areas around data, cybersecurity, different areas that have expanded over time. You'll also see that there are some increases across tech supplies and software, which are typically around, year-to-year increases for, software that goes up, things of that sort, some additional expansion there, and also with the BOCES line, and I'll dive into more detail around that. At the center of it is really how our technology foundation for teaching and learning has evolved and developed. So with the pandemic, we expanded to support more students, we supported our families, we increased the number of devices overall, right? We have devices in every student's hand, we have devices for, just as we covered all of the staff for the educational services and our faculty and our administrators, so every single student has a device, as well as our teachers, our support staff, administrators. So we're looking at over 2,500 devices that the technology department supports. Additionally, of course, the board knows, because we supported it this current budget year, we added new interactive boards. We installed about 60 boards this past year. So now in every single classroom across the district, there is an interactive touch panel, as well as wireless casting. So we've added more infrastructure support there. And you can see here that we have the iPads in grades K and 1, as well as the laptops in grades 2 through 12. So we've really expanded all of that. At the same time, the staffing hasn't really changed to reflect that expansion. And that's kind of what we're seeing with this. And so this next slide here is what the proposed technology department structure looks like. So you'll see the different roles here that are outlined in black are the new proposed roles. And what this really reflects is a change in how we're approaching the technology, right? We're sort of not that tech shop, and what we're looking to do is, as we expand, provide support on the technical side as well as the instructional technology support side at the building level. So that's not only if something were to break or if you needed something fixed, but also as teachers adopt new technologies, being able to go into the classroom and work with the teachers in small cohorts and small clusters and help them understand how this technology is used. And then the question of why goes to our curriculum coordinators. So we really work in tandem. There's sort of this nice continuum that is proposed in this new structure. Right now we have 4 computer aid positions, and we've actually been unable to fill 2 of those positions. So we have 2 computer aides right now, and the BOCES is supporting us with contractors throughout the year. We put both positions out. We were unable to fill those, so our partners at the RIC were able to help us get that technical support. So we're at this point where we have the support district-wide, but we're not able to grow, right? We're not seeing that opportunity to really build that foundation to support in the way that we really want to. So that's kind of what you see here with the building level support, as well as this technology support specialist. With the technology manager, you see some more support around projects. And so that's support around new tools like Frontline and Opera. As we know, we've added new systems there. And then we have some additional support with the database support staff around rostering and different tools. So every time we sort of add a new software that goes into a classroom and we need to add more student rostering to it, it adds to the overall load. So you get a basic idea of what this proposed structure looks like, and that's where you see that year-to-year budget increase. Going on here to the tech supplies, one big thing that's happened this year, and actually we're still right in the middle of it. I just had a phone call today from our partners over at Xerox, and the devices are finding their way into the district. We were able to secure a contract with CBS Xerox to bring in these new multifunction devices, printers, scanners, copiers, whenever teachers need to run off some sort of paper-based activity. We see a lot of use at DRS to support our educational programs. I always like to talk about the balance, thinking about what this means, right? We're adding more technology, more and more, and that's important because our students are entering into a world that's filled with technology. But the beautiful thing about Pleasantville is we also talk about the balance in developmentally appropriate and educationally appropriate. So this type of investment really supports that across all 3 buildings in the district office. Another area is the managed print services with the toner support. And this is really to make this work more efficient and more streamlined in terms of the devices that we have. And there are additional support structures in that for maintenance at a centralized approach. On the next slide here, we have our BOCES line. And as you can see, there are a lot of services that the BOCES and the LHRIC provide to the district. You know, we use them for phones, data protection, hardware repair, internet services, library services. There are a lot of different supports that the RIC provides to us. And really the big part about the RIC is that as we continue to expand, they're a close partner that ensures that we are keeping up with our cybersecurity and our data infrastructure and our reporting. And it touches all parts of the district. So that's really a big part of our investment. Another area that we've used more and more is model schools. And last board meeting, we heard about how we have Randy Hall from the RIC who would come and provide support to our teachers around learning management systems. And so we continue to utilize those supports through the RIC. And another area that we've been utilizing is the IPA, or Installment Purchase Agreement. And so that's what you see here with the new projects. So it's a good chance to say thank you to the board for approving the most recent IPA. We did that at the last board meeting. And that is an area for us to invest in our technology infrastructure without that upfront cost, because they kind of come in waves, the technology investments, right? We might have a big purchase that needs to happen, but we don't necessarily have the money on hand to do that. So the IPA allows us to spread those payments out over 5 years. So what we're looking at for next year is we're actually looking at adding a second internet access pipe to the district. That'll help with sort of how much internet traffic we have. And then additionally, we're looking to upgrade our wireless infrastructure. We have all of these wireless access points. We actually have hundreds and hundreds of them, and it's been 8 years since we made that initial investment, which it doesn't seem possible that it was that long ago, because it does seem very recent. So, but the good thing is, it'll help with the classroom experience for our students as we use more media-rich experiences and video and sound and everything like that. But it's also more secure, and that's really a big piece of this. So being able to make that upgrade is important. Another area where we're upgrading for security is our Windows system. We've already started to upgrade our teachers and our staff to Windows 11. We're going to continue to do that, as well as implement some additional security measures that are coming down the pike around cybersecurity. And then the last part here of this proposed budget is around software. And this is where we're seeing we continue to make investments. We're at this point where we've started to really have a good foundation. I mean, over the years, we've been adopting new tools. The pandemic really kind of drove us with more technology adoption, right? We had these devices, and all of a sudden, everybody needed to learn how to teach remotely and everything like that. So what we're seeing is we're going to continue to invest in the technology that we have and the support. We see that with the proposed staffing as far as the instructional technology support. And then as well at the building level, thinking about all the technology that supports building level initiatives. So we have the writing curriculum at BRS. At the middle school, we purchased iCivics, which is Justice Sandra Day O'Connor's curriculum. It's actually a pretty nice curriculum. And then at the high school level, and we heard about this at the last board meeting as well, we have this new computer science curriculum, which will be very comprehensive, and it's a nice pathway. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing a lot of investment and support in those instructional programs. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Iorio to dive into the athletics.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great job, Dr. Bala, Dr. Faggio, and Mr. Brink. I know you're a huge part of that too, so very good job. So I'd just like to start with a program overview for our athletics department. Currently, right now, we have 18 programs, and your programs are basically all of your teams that fall under one specific varsity sport. And we have 3 levels. We have modified, junior varsity, and varsity. We don't necessarily have all 3 levels for every sport, but a lot of them we do. At the high school level, under those 18 programs, we have 31 teams. At the middle school level, we have 14 teams, and we also have 3 merged teams. Our merged teams are varsity ice hockey, and our varsity boys and girls swimming. Currently, we have 49 high school coaches, we have 18 middle school coaches, and we have 6 volunteer coaches. And I've referred back, and I know there was a number of 61 coaches. And if you look at what we have here, it's a little higher. So I went back and I did my research from past presentations. We were not counting our coaches that were part of our merged teams, although we do contribute to those stipends. If we are not the lead school for that merger, it is still part of what we are paying. So I'd like to refer a little bit to the statistics involving our participation numbers. There is an increase at the high school level, and I've referred to this, I feel like in the fall during one of my presentations. Your spring participation rates tend to be a little bit higher than other seasons, and at the high school we're hovering around 60% participation rate, which is very impressive. And we remain pretty consistent at the middle school level, which is also at 60%. At the high school, as far as our coaches go, okay, part of that number is, we are now adding or implementing back into our coaching staff 2 varsity assistant coaches for girls basketball and boys basketball. And this is a sport in the past, and part of our philosophy as a department is to provide inclusive opportunities, open up those opportunities for as many student athletes as possible. And if you look at our rosters this year and in previous years, okay, we're running out of chairs to have enough players be seated on the bench. We were at 17 varsity basketball players, and probably around 14 or 15 for girls, and that number is only going to increase. And to have that extra support would be really beneficial to our programs. Another area that I'd like to just focus on involving our student athletes and our coaches, which I think is important to identify, is our Positive Coaching Alliance. And this is something that we've referred to in the past. And this is one of our new initiatives that we've put into place. It works in stages. We're in our first year. I do feel like we are in the process of developing it. Our first stage was working with our coaches. I think it was in November, where we had a The contact with the coaches is pretty consistent, and a lot of the references that I would make as a supervisor of our coaches refer to the trainings that we did with the Positive Coaching Alliance. And the idea behind it is to develop that consistent, positive culture within our athletic department. Our second stage involved our athletes. So what we did is we took our emerging leaders, which were recommendations made by our coaching staff, and they were participants of a workshop that we did as well. I provided a survey, we received a lot of feedback, and the next step is for me as the athletic director to now continue working on what we learned in that workshop, and that will take place next week. That will be ongoing. Stage 3, we have the option. We can work with our coaches again, we can work with the athletes, and another option is to work with our community members, our parents, and that's just something that we're gonna figure out, moving forward. We did have a conversation with Pleasantville Strong, and they are the organization who is funding this for us through a grant process, which you might be familiar with. And we did say we wanted to continue with this partnership also with the Positive Coaching Alliance because the feedback has been positive. So we will continue that for the upcoming school year. And the last area that I want to mention involving that initiative is, we've had some of our phys ed staff who have been part of the workshops and also the follow-ups that I've had, and they are hoping to implement this as part of a curriculum in the physical education department, which I think would be a pretty great opportunity. And now getting down to the breakdown of the numbers. We have our supplies line. The supplies line involves a lot of the basics. It's a $40,000 line, and within that line you have balls, you have uniforms, you have helmets, you have shoulder pads, and you do have a lot of those items that do pop up randomly. For example, at any point they can change the standards for a shoulder pad or a helmet. Like this spring, we dealt with a situation where New York State decided that the shoulder pads for lacrosse, which is not a cheap item, needed to follow a certain standard, which meant that a lot of our athletes had to purchase new shoulder pads. And with lacrosse, they tend to do that through the booster clubs and on their own because most of our lacrosse players participate in travel teams, so they have the ability to take that equipment and use it year-round. But those are just like some of the things that do pop up that you're not necessarily aware of all the time. And also in that line, similar to what we're doing in all of our other departments, we look at the areas where we could potentially reallocate funds. So I specifically identify, for example, balls. Majority of our sports require balls, and balls are not a cheap item. If you look at what the cost of a box of baseballs is, it's a lot of money. And when you're buying multiple boxes of those, and then a couple years later they say, the standards are now different, what are you doing with those old balls that are no longer legal? So now we're monitoring our inventory a lot closer. So rather than stockpiling, we're taking those funds, reallocating them, and applying them towards things that could be more beneficial to all of our programs, not necessarily that specific sport. The equipment line is pretty straightforward. It's a small amount, but we use that this year. We would like to apply it towards backboards, goals, and nets. And those goals are for multiple sports, and the nets are for multiple sports. We are hoping to upgrade our volleyball net system. One of them is it's pretty old, so we'd like to see if we can upgrade there, and also our field hockey goals, which again, in a line item of $5,000, you know, 2 goals, 2 items, that basically would cover it. So we really have to be careful and specific about what we're looking to purchase under those line items. The next area is repair and reconditioning of equipment. Under that line item and the reconditioning piece, you know, what we do with a lot of helmets and shoulder pads, those go out, they get evaluated, and then we get a receipt back that basically tells us, these are approved, you can use these next year, these aren't, you have to buy new ones. And then that's when we would refer to our supplies budget. And also, what we are spending at that line item are our uniforms. Our uniforms need to go out, and those need to be reconditioned as well for many of our sports. What we've done here, and you know, I give a little credit to our special education department, a washer and a dryer was purchased. So we now have one of those in-house. And that allows us to partner with our special education department and work on those life skills with the students in some of our special programs. And this allows us to, they can support us in tracking inventories, they can wash the uniforms, and they can work on, you know, a lot of those life skills involved in those programs that we're trying to teach them moving forward. So thank you for that. And that would also cut back on the cost for those reconditioning items. Also under the repair and reconditioning of equipment is our fitness center. If you remember a couple of years back, we did make some improvements in our fitness center. Something that I feel is very important is to put together a fitness center contract or a maintenance contract where we can partner with a company who can come on an annual basis or biannual basis and evaluate our equipment, treat it the way it's supposed to be treated, you know, because a lot of it comes down to safety, just to make sure that our athletes are using safe equipment. There are a couple of companies that we're researching. One of them is a company where we purchase the equipment from, and that is Gym Source. And we have the option of extending a contract where they can help maintain our equipment. And there's another company that a lot of our neighboring districts use. It's called Blue Banner. I was going to say Blue Ribbon, but it's Blue Banner. And those are the 2 main companies. So, you know, we'll see what we come up with both of those. Our merged teams. That is a line item here, $18,500, and it's a small increase from previous years. And this is I would say a pretty volatile line item, depending on the number of athletes that we have participating on our merged teams. So out of those 3 merged teams, this year we happen to have an increase, and in particular, one of them was hockey. And also girls swimming. So what happens in those merged contracts is there's a total cost, and then that gets divided by the total number of athletes out of all of the schools. And we are not the lead school for any of those mergers right now, so the lead school would just bill us for the number of athletes that we have that are part of that team. Our athletic trainer has been pretty consistent for the last couple of years. That is through Pro Clinics, a local organization that we partner with, who provides us with a certified athletic trainer. This year it's Allison Serraro. She was also here with us last year. She's phenomenal, and I'm sure most of you know who she is. So, hopefully we can continue that partnership. And then our transportation area, which is $120,000. This year, would be a unique situation, and there's probably going to be an increase there. And that being because, if you remember, well, there's 2 reasons. In the fall, we had a concern with our backfield, which serves as one of our main fields during the fall season. So due to that situation, we had to push a number of our events to away facilities in order to be able to fulfill our game schedules. And the other one was COVID. We have pretty large cross-country and track teams, and our football team was very large. So for a number of our events, we would have to get 2 buses in order for us to be able to follow social distancing protocols. Moving forward, hopefully, there's improvements in those areas. But if you do see an increase for this current year, that is 100% definitely the reason. Our BOCES cost services, or service costs, I should say, are year to year pretty consistent. Our officials are at about $70,000 if you average it out. And that's what we're paying based on all of our home contests, and scheduling based on school size. So this is a designated number to the size of our school. And that number is provided by BOCES, and that remains pretty consistent. So any school that is approximately the same size as us would most likely be paying that same amount of $15,400. And then our Section 1 dues. Your Section 1 dues are the amounts that you're paying per varsity team. And this is the other area that has a slight increase. And the reason behind that is we were notified by Section 1 at one of our previous meetings going back to in the fall that for the first time in 15 years, they are going to be increasing those costs. And it could be anywhere between, I think, $50 to $100 per varsity team. So you'll see an increase there. I want to say that's close to about $2,000, which would cover those increases. And we don't foresee that going up again in the near future. And now I'll refer to our final slide, which lists several of our technology platforms, some that you're already very familiar with. The first one is our Tandem interactive calendar, and I remember referring to this again earlier in the year. This is something that we've used consistently for, I don't remember how many years, but it's been a while. And this allows our athletes, our families, community members to register, and they can register to receive as many notifications as they want for as many teams as they want. And this happens in real time. So for example, today, we had to postpone a number of games. And if you're following one of the teams through Tandem, you would get that notification right away. Sometimes there's a description. Sometimes it'll say that a date hasn't been solidified, or it will have the date that it's been postponed to. We've considered other options for this, and the reason why we are holding off, and not that we are opposed to it, but there are other options that provide more opportunities for us as a district and as a department. But Section 1 is looking to adapt something potentially for the entire section so that we are all using the same thing. So rather than changing and then changing to something else again, I didn't think that would be the smartest move at this point in time. Family ID registration, that's a program that we use for all of our athletes each season to register for a sport, where our nurse and our school medical doctor basically give the approval saying that these athletes are medically cleared to participate in a sport. Sports U is now being used as our primary form of communication. This is a platform that I use to communicate regularly with our coaching staff. We've trained them to be able to access it from a device, from their phone. You could use it from the computer. But majority of the time, everyone has their phone handy. So if I need to make an update to a practice schedule or send a notice out about anything like today, a reminder about the wind chill factor, keeping an eye on the temperatures, because there are some regulations with that, I can shoot it out through SportsU and they get it immediately. By doing that, we're also protecting everyone's personal identifiable information. And this platform is the same one that our coaches are using with our athletes and with our families. And if they're not doing it yet, they really should be doing it. We've made it very clear that we wanted to keep that consistency and use this because it is easy to access. Huddle is a hands-free film for outdoor games. This is something that we use for several of our sports. Not every sport uses it. And what it does is it allows us to scout. It allows us to film games. And there's a company in Australia that does a breakdown of statistics. And due to the time difference, what happens is we send the link after a game, and the next day you have the breakdown of everything that went on during that game, which is pretty impressive. The coaches find it to be extremely helpful. Team Builder. This is an online strength and conditioning program. This is something that our coaches have felt very strongly about, and I know that when I was coaching, it was something that I implemented as part of our strength and conditioning programs. And our physical education teachers are also now implementing this into their classes, Fit for Life classes. And I want to thank Dr. Faggio, and I really do think that he deserves credit because he's done a great job with providing us with the tools that we need to really be able to implement this software appropriately. And it allows coaches, it allows the athletes, it allows physical education teachers to track what the athletes are doing on a daily basis. And we were able to get an interactive display where our physical education teachers can use it in class, and we can also use it in our weight room, and the supervisor in the weight room can pull it up, and athletes can see certain things that they need to do on the screen. The next step is maybe to install 2 small TVs in the the fitness center, because that would also help in what we're trying to accomplish here. It's not a significant cost for this program, but the benefits of it are pretty impressive. The final one is local live, and this is a topic that I know has come up on several occasions over the last few years. A lot of local districts have implemented this, and if you're familiar with the name Kevin Devaney, he's been around for a very long time with LOHUD, and he's the founder of this company. It's a program that allows us to stream our events. And I think during the time of the pandemic, when sports were happening, but there was limits to our spectators, more and more districts implemented this. It's an unbelievable tool. We have the ability to potentially provide a streaming capability for all of our teams, and that would be for the varsity and JV levels. And if modified teams are playing on those fields, they would be able to do that as well. This is a state-aided program, which is now supported through BOCES, so that benefits us. So we would get that aid back. So the next step would be us trying to cover the balance of those costs. And how do we do that? The athletic department has come up with some ideas and some ways that, within our funding, we should hopefully be able to generate what we need in order to be able to cover that. And also having some conversations with community members, but more as of late with our coaches. If this is something that they feel very strongly about and we're going to implement it for the first time and they want to be a part of it, then maybe they can contribute through any type of fundraiser, as a possibility. But we do have ideas on how to cover the balance, and we're hoping to have this implemented really soon. And one of the benefits of being able to do this is the company has agreed, and it's something that we had asked for, to give us an additional camera where we can stream events. So we can choose where we want to post that camera. So if we wanted to put it here in the auditorium and be able to stream the board meeting, we can do that. If we wanted to put it in the library, we can do that. We can be able to stream our performing arts events. So it gives us a lot of flexibility, and it not only benefits the athletic department, but it provides opportunities for other departments as well. And that covers it all. So at this point in time, I will hand it back to our superintendent, Dr. Desa, and thank you everybody for the opportunity for allowing me to be here. So.
Just wanted to thank the 3 administrators who presented tonight and really representing your departments. I continue to be impressed with our special education continuum and the amount of service and support that we provide in our district to support our district students as well as students from other districts. So it's quite impressive to be able to provide this level of service in the least restrictive environment for students without having them go outside of our district. So kudos on those efforts, and thank you for all your work on that. The second piece, in terms of technology, just really want to applaud Dr. Fajo and John Chow over here. We've been at this since December and trying to really think about how we can thoughtfully manage the technology service, because it's beyond a department, it's a service. There's no one that exists in our district without the support of technology. As you heard, from athletics to special education to the 3 buildings and the level of curriculum, it's just really, the pandemic has profoundly influenced the teaching and learning process, and we can exist without technology. We can't be on the cutting edge of what we need to be doing, and we can't provide our students the level of instruction that they deserve to be prepared for post-Pleasantville experiences without the depth, without the tools. So it is a much more beyond my new term, wires and pliers, to a much more comprehensive approach. So thank you for your thoughtfulness and for your presentation. And to our athletic director, really for just pursuing a lot of creative options. We did add an assistant coach for the 2 varsity, both the boys and the girls teams, to this budget, because really our coaches have a profound impact on our students, and really all that we're doing to grow them and their skill set so that they can be the best that they can be, whether it's through equipment or through a comprehensive approach to how they're supporting students, is just really amazing. And I thank Pleasantville Strong for supporting the Positive Coaching Alliance for our students to, for our coaches to benefit from, so that ultimately our students have a potentially even improved athletic experience with us. And with 60% participation, really that's huge, just amazing. So thank you for all that you do to make that work. So our next slide looks at where we are with our budget presentations. So we have another check in the box after tonight. So the preview to the proposed, to the school level, to the instructional level. We have a meeting in 1 week, and we will be doing our non-instructional budget presentation, and then moving on to our budget adoption, the public hearing, and the annual school vote. Do you have the ability to advance the slides? Thank you. I realized I didn't have the clicker. So we did have 2 budget forums this past week, and we did record the virtual one, so it is available on our website. I was going to say that during remarks, but I thought I'd just say it here, so that virtual budget forum is available on our website. And lastly, of course, if you have any comments about the budget, please feel free. 2 persons to my left, Ms. Vitucci, or myself, or Mr. Chow, we're always available to talk about our budget and where we're going with where we're looking to spend money for next year. So thank you again to our administrators. Appreciate you being here and providing such a comprehensive report for us.